And then I'll let everybody in. So yeah, everybody break a leg. Hey, everybody, welcome in. Thank you guys for joining us today. We are going to give you guys just a little bit to jump on here. I see a couple people already joining, so I want to give everybody a chance to get in. So thank y'all for being here. We're so excited to have our university panel tonight. We've got some great folks out here that are going to talk to you about their programs and what they got going on. So I'll give everybody just a second to get on here and get on. So we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. All right, we've got some great numbers, some good folks coming in. So it's 7:01, so let's get started. So first, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Leslie Ancietta. I'm the Partnerships Development Manager here at NSHSS, and I'm so happy to be able to join you tonight and do this university panel. I've got Sydney Bartlett in the background helping us out, working with us to try to get everything. Hi, Sydney. Thanks for joining us to try to get everything in the background. So she'll be able to answer some questions for you and be able to moderate in the background if you guys need anything from her. Before I get started, the Q&A session, we'll have a Q&A session after everybody's presentation, and it'll be about 15 minutes at the end. So please, everybody, direct your questions to the Q&A box. We'll be able to take care of all your questions at the end when we do the 15 minutes after. So any questions, direct them to the Q&A, and we'll be able to help you out and answer those for you. So let's get started to meet our panelists. So Eden Nashon is with the UC Berkeley Summer Sessions, and he's here to talk to you a little bit more about their programs and everything we've got to offer. So we're excited to have you, Eden. Thanks for joining us. Next, we've got Anita Wise, and she's from Columbia Pre-College Programs, here to talk to us about the programs that they have to offer. And then last but not least, we've got NewU University, and it's Josh Morrison, and he's going to be here helping us out and showing us the programs that they've got to offer. So with anything else, let's go ahead and get started. So Anita, I'll go ahead and let you go first. So please share your screen, and you've got 15 minutes. The floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for joining us today on this beautiful hot summer evening. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Give me just 1 second. I'm just going to move a couple of things around real quick, and give me just 1 more second and I'm ready to go here. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to be talking to you today about Columbia University's pre-college programs. I know a lot of you are familiar with Columbia University, but very few people know that we also have a program for high school students. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, my name is Anita Weiss, and I'm the Assistant Director of Recruitment for Columbia's pre-college programs. On this slide, you're going to see our entire admissions team. There's me. So when you submit an application for one of our programs, it's going to be one of us who reads your application. And on this slide, you'll see the overview of today's session. We're going to begin with an overview of the program as a whole, and then move into some big picture items, including the application process itself. Columbia is a top 10 university. It's a member of the Ivy League. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that. There are 20 schools and over 200 institutes and research centers that comprise Columbia University. We have 4,200 full-time faculty members, over 32,000 students from 153 countries, and 6,000 undergraduate students, and finally 84 Nobel Prize winners. In the background of this, you can see our beautiful campus on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. We have a beautiful neoclassical campus, which is different from most of the universities that were built around the same time, which were done in the Gothic style. So regardless of whether or not you choose to join one of our programs, we do hope that you have a chance to come up to New York and visit our beautiful campus. We're so proud of the diversity of our Columbia community in terms of their accomplishments and experiences, as well as where our community members come from. And we are thrilled that you might be interested in becoming part of Columbia's melting pot. So now let's talk about our pre-college programs. Academic year immersion is an opportunity for you to challenge yourself with Ivy League level academics and to do so with passionate instructors and accomplished peers from around the world who share your curricular interests. We like to keep our class sizes small and all classes are live. They are not pre-recorded. We do this because our program emphasizes active participation and critical thinking. To get the most out of our courses, we expect students to actively engage in classroom discussions and to think critically about the topics at hand, creating a stronger experience for you and your classmates. One of the best benefits, particularly in today's global climate, is being able to make friends from around the world. Students in your class may have the same academic interests, but they've got their own unique stories and experiences tied to where they're from, and you can meet peers that you might not otherwise have an opportunity to meet. In addition to your assigned courses, you can also participate in extracurricular activities, which are included in the program cost, but we're going to talk more about that in another slide. And the long-lasting tangible benefits of the program are the skills and knowledge that'll be instilled with you as you move forward through the college application process and your undergraduate studies. Finally, it's a chance to participate in unique courses in niche areas not usually offered by the typical high school. For example, many of our students have an interest in studying finance in college, but they don't have a real understanding of what that would entail. With our program, they can get a taste of that future by taking our corporate finance class or maybe understanding the stock market. But let's move on. So now let's talk specifically about our fall program. This is an online program, and you may register for up to 4 courses, but we actually don't recommend that. These are very rigorous classes, and our participants tend to be very studious with heavy school loads, and we want you to get the full benefit of the program without being overwhelmed. So we suggest taking 1 to 2 courses, but no more than 3 courses. You can choose from over 30 curricular options from a wide range of topics, from engineering to creative writing and everything in between. Our courses are taught by top instructors passionate about their fields and about teaching, and a full listing of our courses can be found hyperlinked here on this page. So normally when I do this presentation, I would take a moment here and talk a little bit about the instructors and some of the other things, but because of the time constraints, I'm going to run straight through my entire presentation, but hopefully at the end, I'll have some time to give you a couple of little anecdotes and just share with you some of the experiences of our students and our faculty. So moving back to the presentation, our courses are taught in 2-hour blocks on either Saturday or Sunday in either the morning, afternoon, or evening for 10 weeks. And again, it is important to stress that classes are synchronous, and this means that you must be present and live at your computer at the stated time. So the times on our website are the Eastern Time Zone, New York City time, which is where the university and our program is based. Please note that the program is not for credit and is not graded. Rather than a transcript, students will receive a Columbia University certification of participation and personalized letter of evaluation from their instructor, which can serve as supplemental materials to your college applications. All extracurricular activities will be made available to all students of all schedules, with the exception of some of the creative writing classes. Once you've navigated to our courses page, I want you to click on the specific class in which you're interested for important information. It's imperative that you pay particular attention to the course descriptions, because these course descriptions include the times and dates of the course, a summary of the course's format and anticipated topics, and the course's prerequisites, if any. You'll also be able to view a brief introduction to the instructor. The course description also carries links to the directory of classes where you can see current up-to-date capacity and enrollment numbers for the course. You just need to click on the link next to the call number at the bottom of the screen. So now let's talk about some of those student life activities. Our co-curricular activities fall into one of 4 general categories. So we have leadership in a diverse world. These are seminars and workshops that challenge students to consider real-world issues and engage participants in discussions about solutions for a better world. We have Preparing for College, and I have to say, I think these are some of our best presentations, and students, especially juniors and seniors who are getting ready for college, this is a really a must-do seminar series. So these are seminars and workshops focused on the college application process. They'll give you things like how to write the college application essay. You can go to talks by Columbia University undergraduate admissions officers. They also talk about transitioning to college and preparing for your college experience. We also have Career Skills and Exploration. These are workshops and seminars to prepare participants with introductory career skills such as building a resume, networking, interviewing, etc. And finally, cross-cultural community building. So this is a chance for you to build your network and connect with friends from all over the country and the globe with a variety of different fairs and activities. So now let's get down to cost, dates, and logistics. So here our program costs can be viewed. Each course costs $2,700, and students also pay a one-time program fee of $110. So if you take 2 courses, the tuition would be $5,400, but the program fee would remain $110. Admitted students are required to make a $500 non-refundable enrollment deposit to secure their space in the program, but this deposit is credited towards the overall cost of the program. It is not an additional fee. Lastly, there is an $80 application fee, but I'm going to waive that fee for all of the attendees of this information session, and I'm going to give you that application fee waiver code a little bit later. Again, as another reminder of the importance of reviewing a course description, you need to check your individual course website for any additional course materials, time requirements, software, etc. that you might need. There might be additional expenses like specific textbooks or other materials. On this slide, you'll see that the program runs from September 24th through December 4th, and our application deadline is August 30th. So this includes also receiving all materials that are necessary for the application as well. So now we're going to move forward to the application itself. To access the application, go to our website, and you can see I've provided you a hyperlink here. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll find a drop-down menu. Select Immersion Online Academic Year. You're going to see several tabs. Click on the Apply tab, then scroll down to the bottom and click the green button to start your application. But I will say that our website has a wealth of information, so I suggest you click on all of the tabs listed to get answers to the most pertinent questions about our program. Here are our application requirements. So you must complete the application itself. There's the $80 application fee, but you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, I've given you that application fee waiver code. You have to write a personal essay. The prompts are on the website. You should also submit a transcript of all courses you've taken from 9th grade forward. Please make sure that your transcript has your name, your school name, all of your classes and grades. And for the purposes of the application, an unofficial transcript is just fine. We also need a teacher letter of recommendation written by an instructor who teaches in a field closely related to your curricular interest. And make sure that your teacher uses a work-affiliated email address, so not Google or Yahoo. And then finally, we have the community standards form and the financial responsibility agreement. Moving right along. Applications are reviewed on a rolling basis after all application materials have been received. It can take 2 weeks to receive a decision depending on the volume of applications that need processing, but it's best to get your application submitted as soon as possible because you won't be registering for class until you've been admitted to the program. And students do register once they are admitted and have all of their materials in. When you're filling out the application, you're going to see a curricular interest form where you're going to select 2 to 4 subject areas of interest to you. These are only for planning purposes and eligibility purposes on our end. They're not to put you in a specific class. You aren't going to register for your course until you're admitted. And at that time, you can register for any open course providing you meet the prerequisites. And some of our courses will have prerequisites. To satisfy a prerequisite, you must have earned a B or higher for the required course. So this process is very similar to most college registration processes. So you're going to get an email when you have a decision, and it's going to indicate that you should go to your portal, which is where you filled out your application, and you're going to find your decision letter in your portal. Go ahead and bookmark that portal when you fill out your application because you're going to keep coming back to it over and over again, and it'll just be for easy reference that way. Enrolled students are required to provide a non-refundable enrollment deposit, that $500 deposit, and your decision letter will tell you how to go about doing that. And once again, enrollment deposits are credited towards the overall program cost. So that is wrapping up my program. This is my email address, so you can actually email me directly if you have any questions. My email address is hsp-weiss@columbia.edu, and there's our website. Once again, there's that application fee waiver code, so make sure you write that down. And I think I might have just a couple more minutes left. So this is the time when I will talk quickly and try to tell you a couple of things that I actually love about our program. Just last week, in fact, I got a phone call from a friend of mine whose neighbor had a child who was taking the program, and he said that after 1 week, he found that he couldn't even recognize his child. She had grown and matured so much in 1 week. She's doing the summer program, the summer residential program, and it just had a profound impact on her, which was wonderful to hear, but also not surprising because I've met with many parents who've been involved with the program or whose students have been involved with the program. And I have heard that response time and time again, even from students themselves, about how the program gave them the confidence that they needed to go forward in school. I had one student who was too intimidated to take AP classes until she did our program. And after that, it gave her the confidence she needed to go forward and really thrive at her school. So I really do love the effect that this program has, and I'm always really happy to talk about it. Come to one of our regular information sessions and you can hear more about these sort of things, or email me later, but it really is just a fantastic program, and I hope that you will take the time to enjoy it and definitely look at our courses, because you will find there is something for everyone there. So with that, I will turn the baton over to whoever's up next, but thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Anita. That was wonderful. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go to Josh with NewU University. So Josh, please go ahead and take the floor. And if you want to share your screen.
All right, thanks very much. And it's a pleasure to be with you here this afternoon. I'm Josh Morris, and I'm the Director of Student Journey with NewU University. We are the first private nonprofit university to start in Washington, D.C. in over 100 years. And we're kind of proud of that trailblazing effort. And we're starting this fall. This is our first inaugural class. It's coming in the fall of 22, starting in early September. And we're really pleased to be with you this evening. So the tagline here is "Not Your Old University," and that's definitely true. We are founded just a few years ago as an idea, literally on the back of a napkin, about how a new type of institution could be created to really, in how I see it, break the trade-off triangle between cost, quality, and time. And so today I'd like to talk with you a little bit about how NewU works, and certainly happy to answer any questions you might have here at the end. So thanks again. So we're the first built from the ground up institution, college institution, to offer a 3-year bachelor's program. You may know that abroad, internationally, a 3-year undergraduate degree program is very common. Here in the US, not so common. And so we have a number of academic majors. All of them are built to be completed in just 3 academic years. No approvals needed to go any quicker than that, than the regular 4-year path. No summer semesters, and the terms are only a couple of weeks longer than usual. So the way that accreditation works and the way that the credit hour sort of process works, we can get a full extra year of academic work kind of done early by extending the semesters. That's how it works. We do offer classes on campus in Washington, D.C., Monday through Thursday only, with activities on Fridays. And with this model, all students still have access to a full summer, to time for internships and school breaks. And so it's really a different model than maybe you've seen in other institutions. And we're pretty proud of that, bringing that for the first time here in the US. So as I said, our campus is located in Washington, D.C. We are actually just a couple of blocks from the White House, right across from the U.S. Treasury building. There is access to the campus through metro and bus stops. And so it's really in the heart of the nation's capital. So it's an exciting location with access to lots of internships and part-time positions and opportunities to really engage with a number of NGOs and nonprofits and federal government activities and local DC government activities as well there in the nation's capital. About 10-minute walk to the Smithsonian museums, really close to us, and then student housing is right next door. And so we really are focused on providing a really enriching, engaging campus experience in one of the best urban settings in the country. So we're excited about that and bringing the first class in this fall. The intention academically for NewU is really to create future-proof majors. And the idea around that is that the curriculum that has been developed in all of the majors you see here on the screen are really intended to be, as we say, future-proof. That is to say, we can prepare you with what's state-of-the-art now and also how to continue to innovate and grow over time. So all of these programs were designed this year and last year. So they're on the cutting edge of what's happening in industry, what's happening in modern business and organizations. Things like psychology, human behavior, entrepreneurship, creativity, innovation management, sustainability and climate change, computer and data science. Those are our focus areas. They're all multidisciplinary. They're grounded practically in real world problems that are out there in industry right now. And the curriculum that we developed actually has a common first year. And so it's very easy to switch from one major to the other, particularly after the first year, because all students are engaged in a core curriculum in the first and second semesters on campus with us. Really one of the big impetus areas for NewU was trying to lower the overall stress and anxiety and frustration, the friction of college. And so when we try to break the trade-off triangle between quality, cost, and time and speed, one of the things that was important to us in development was how can we make this as stress-free and anxiety-free for students as possible? How can we lower the barriers to accessing a high-quality, affordable education and make it as seamless as possible? So we have a model where our classes Monday through Thursday start at 10 a.m. You're done in the mid-afternoon. There's no individual registration in year one because everyone takes the same common curriculum. As I said, easy to switch majors between one and the other. And really what we want to create is an environment where it is collaborative and teamwork oriented. You know, when I work in industry and I go and try to solve a problem or do a group effort in order to bring something to market, or I'm going to run some sort of project, I win when the work gets done, and we win together when we deliver that product in a timely manner that meets our needs, on budget and all of those things. So we're really not into a zero-sum sort of culture here. We're really into a collaborative culture where everyone supports everyone else and we all make it to the finish line together. So the whole vibe here, in fact, we have a chief happiness officer whose job it is to make everyone happy and create an environment where everyone can be their best self and do their best work and thrive. That is really the culture of NewU. So we have academic mental health guidance. We have full student services in terms of behavioral and physical health. There's a policy on grade non-disclosure, so we don't disclose grades, and we ask students don't disclose their grades because that creates a culture of competition and not one of collaboration and teamwork. And every Friday and throughout the orientation process, we really focus on thriving in college. So our focus is really not about competition and trying to beat someone else. It's really about how can we all succeed together and support each other in obtaining our individual goals. So we want you to enjoy your journey in college. We want you to have an enriching, engaging, collaborative experience, and one that supports you from start to finish. And that's what we're focused on. You might be interested in tuition and how tuition works at NewU. We built NewU to be transparent in terms of pricing. The average tuition is listed here on the screen. We guarantee the tuition costs for 3 years. And so when you're admitted and you accept admission and deposit with us, that tuition is locked for 3 years. The sticker price is a bit more than that, but with tuition grants, with scholarships, we are able to lower that cost significantly. Just a moment, my 4-year-old wants to talk. All right, thanks for your patience with that. She's a very excited 4-year-old. All right. So we do have financial aid available. The application is really one short form about what sort of need you have. There's a scholarship decision within 24 hours. There are payment options as well. So we don't expect folks to be able to just write us a check. We can always work with students on installment payment options for that. There really is one price. There's not one floating tuition out there. It's one price for everyone. That's at the top. And then in terms of scholarships, that always can lower the price. We do have a refer a friend program where we offer $500 off tuition for a student, friend of yours that might come in and is admitted and joins NewU. So there's a bit of an incentive to work with your friends to maybe come in a group, but we're excited to talk with NSHSS students about this anytime. So with all of those things combined with a very low sticker price, with future-proof majors, with a 3-year time frame, you really can save a significant amount of money overall in terms of tuition. And we do that by a lot of efficiencies in how we operate and really stripping out things that don't really add significant value to the learning experiences for students that are in the classroom and around that activity. So NSHSS members are already approved for admission. We just want you to submit a high school transcript, diploma. There's no application fee when we turn around admission decisions in 24 hours. So the QR code there is for you. We're accepting applications for fall of 2023. We still have some spaces for fall of 22. If that's a possibility for you, we'd be happy to talk with you about any sort of questions you have about NewU and how it operates and what you can expect in your 3 years with us. All right. So here's how to get a hold of us. We are right down on 15th Street Northwest in DC. My role as Director of Student Journey is really to assist students in making NewU their own. And the focus of NewU is about really developing everyone's talents and preparing them for a future that is full of change. So that's why we say future-proof, because we want to make sure that you're not only prepared for the first day of work, but really you're ready to be prepared for your last day of work, whether that's in the public sector, private sector, nonprofit sector. We're committed to supporting students from start to finish. And our focus is on students and student learning and their student journey. So my role is really about how to make the best of the experience here on campus with NewU and really helping students make it their own as best they can. So check us out at NewU University. You're welcome to give us an email, give us a call, or text anytime. We'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. I think I'll stop the share here and turn it over to our next presenter.
All right, thank you, Josh, so much for that presentation. So Eden, it's your turn. Go ahead and take over.
Thank you kindly. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen at this time. Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much, Leslie. I feel truly honored to be part of this panel alongside Columbia and NewU. I will be introducing myself in just a second, but one of the things that I just want to highlight here is I am here representing UC Berkeley and very specifically our pre-college scholars program. And I'm going to tell you more about what we're doing this summer, which would be applicable to our future summers. And this is a summer program. So this is not necessarily applicable for folks who are interested in taking classes or joining Berkeley in the fall and the spring. So my name is Eden Nasher and my pronouns are he, him, his, and I serve as the program coordinator for the Pre-College Scholars Program, which basically means I manage the life cycle of each and every incoming student, starting with exciting conversations and presentations like today, all the way to your successful matriculation into the program, and hopefully you coming back and representing the program as an ambassador or an alum. Just so that folks know what to expect in the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to tell you a little bit about UC Berkeley. And from there, I'm going to cover certain facets of the program, starting with benefits, the tracks that we offer. And we'll wrap up this presentation with dates and the admissions process and how to stay in touch. So if this all sounds good to you, let's go ahead and get started with UC Berkeley. So some of you may have heard of UC Berkeley. Those who have not, UC Berkeley is a large research-oriented public university in Berkeley, California. It's the flagship of the UC system, which basically means it's the first UC in the entire UC system. We were founded in 1868. And so in 2018, we celebrated our 150th birthday. And back at that point in time when the institution was founded, our founders were envisioning a hub, an intellectual hub, a cosmopolitan space and place that will bring folks together to learn and grow. Little did they know that their vision was not going only to spill over to the local community, but to the national and global to the community. And so we do take a lot of pride in the fact that a lot of rankings and a lot of publications out there in the world would consider UC Berkeley as the #1 public university. Some folks may also say UCLA is, and we are happy with that as long as it is sitting in the UC system. And we also take pride in the fact that we rank highly in other areas. So for example, we're the #1 top producer of Peace Corps volunteers. A lot of our faculty hold Nobel Prize in various fields, and these are faculty, researchers, and instructors that you're going to be able to interact with and take classes with if you are to take advantage of the Pre-College Scholars Program. And we have the 4th largest library system in the country with access to more than 12 million books and volumes, publications, journals, you name it, it's there. And one of the things that I like to highlight about UC Berkeley when I give any presentation about the institution is the fact that in 2020, we were celebrating 150 years of women on campus. Many universities, many institutions out there in the world, when they opened their doors, they did not necessarily welcome women as students, staff, or faculty. But UC Berkeley, shortly after it opened its doors as an institution, did that. And so we have been lucky to have women and femme folks shaping our community, both from an educational point of view and, of course, as students. So that's a little bit about Berkeley. I'm going to shift gears here and talk about the Pre-College Scholars Program. And as noted earlier, this is a summer program very specifically for high school students, whether in California, outside of California, anywhere in the country or the world. We welcome rising juniors and rising seniors every summer to UC Berkeley, as long as they are 16 years of age by the start of the program, to simply take classes and get a sense and a taste of what it means to be a UC Berkeley student. We offer various tracks, as you can see on the screen, and I'm going to talk about each and every one of them. We have a commuter track, a virtual track, a residential track, and a non-credit track. So I am going to give you a sense of what to expect by the time you're done with the program. This is an important slide because it really gives you a sense of the overarching themes, the vision that we are hoping you're going to be able to take and make the most out of by the time you're done with the program. So in joining the Pre-College Scholars Program at UC Berkeley, you're going to gain a glimpse of what it means to study in a major university. And I very specifically say a major university here because it will help you understand what your experience could look like in a public university, in a research-oriented university, in a very large university. UC Berkeley serves more than 40,000 students on a given semester, as well as, of course, in being in the UC system. So of course, you're going to get a good, solid grasp of what it means to be a UC Berkeley student, but at the same time, what it means to be part of these types of institutions if these spaces are considerations you're sitting with currently in terms of what future institution you want to call home in the future. You're going to be earning UC Berkeley college credit if you are part of the commuter, virtual, or the residential tracks. And what that means essentially is that you're actually going to be sitting in a classroom alongside UC Berkeley undergraduate matriculated students in classes taught by UC Berkeley faculty. And so what you will do with these units or credit later on is that you're going to transfer them so that they will be part of your future undergraduate degree. And you have more than 300 classes to choose from. So the sky's the limit in terms of what you can study with the program. You're going to be learning from world-renowned instructors. As noted earlier, Berkeley tends to attract amazing faculty who are pioneers in their fields, and they're writing some of the very textbooks that you're reading right now in high school. And so you're going to be studying with those folks. And if you're lucky, you might walk away with letters of recommendation from UC Berkeley faculty. And we're cognizant of the fact that your growth and transformation should not only be limited to the intellectual aspect of the program or the experience. So we are intentional about fostering a lot of co-curricular and extracurricular programming that will enable you to grow beyond the intellectual. So emotionally, socially, culturally, personally, and so on and so forth. And one of the highlights of the program is the college preparation that we do with folks. So we have a series of admissions workshops where we bring in an admissions expert who help you amp up your application game, knowing that you probably are looking into applying to a lot of competitive institutions in the future if you're joining a place like UC Berkeley. And so we want you to feel ready and on top of your game. And finally, this program attracts folks from all sorts of different backgrounds and spaces. So we take a lot of pride in the diversity represented in the program. And we hope that you're going to be able to build community and be in friendships with folks who are coming from all sorts of different walks of lives. And hopefully one day you're going to run into them again if you do choose to come to UC Berkeley or any other institution. One thing to note about our program, and this is a common question we get from especially parents and legal guardians: if my student is to join the program, are they going to be guaranteed an admissions offer to UC Berkeley, or does your program serve as a pipeline into the institution? Unfortunately, the answer is no, because we're very intentional about being very fair as an institution when it comes down to the admissions process, knowing that not everyone can take advantage of a program like the Pre-College Scholars Program. So let's talk a little bit about the different tracks that are available for folks. Those of you who are interested in being in California, or if you're already in California, even in the Bay Area, but you want to get a taste of what it means to have a fully immersive experience of what it means to be a college student, we recommend the residential track, which provides you with room and board, meal plans. You have live-in residential staff. We provide you with a basic health insurance and access to all the resources that are available to you on campus, all the way from sports and recreational activities to concerts, to the library system, to mental health support. And on top of that, we love to show you the Bay Area. That's our bigger campus and backyard. So we take you to Silicon Valley, we take you to San Francisco, and other highlights around the Bay Area to help you understand how UC Berkeley is contextualized within this incredibly dynamic cosmopolitan space we call the Bay Area. If you're interested in the residential track, you can come for 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Students who don't necessarily want to invest a lot in a residential experience, but they want to get the in-person experience, can come as commuters. If you have family in the Bay Area, you can come and live with them or stay with them. And of course, if you're already in the Bay Area, that's great. You can just come, take classes, and at the end of the day, you would be going home, and you will still have access to all the resources that we provide in the university. So that would include tutoring, counseling, sports, as noted earlier, and of course, college and support. And because the commuter is not necessarily limited to a residential experience, we have more options in terms of classes and dates that you can take advantage of. Folks who don't necessarily want to venture all the way to California, or even they are in California, but they have other commitments, they may be traveling on vacation during the summer, they can take advantage of the virtual track. And here what we do essentially, we replicate the entire experience that you would have in person, simply put virtually, and you will still have access to the same resources that would be accessible to our in-person students. And the courses that you'd be taking in person will be offered virtually, either synchronously or asynchronously, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then finally, there is a non-credit track for folks who don't necessarily want to come and take a UC Berkeley class and compete with other UC Berkeley students. Simply, they want to get a taste of the campus. They want to be here for a short period of time. And that's precisely why we have these 2-week experiences. You can think of them as a very fancy, fun, interactive TEDx or TED experience. And we have 2 themes here: the Berkeley Change Maker, this focused on leadership, and the second one is our very popular Computer Science Academy. So let's talk about briefly each one of them so that you have a better sense of what to expect. As I said, residential allows you to come and live on campus. You'll be taking classes with UC Berkeley students, which they would lead to academic transcripts from UC Berkeley later on. Folks who do this track are interested in working on the prerequisites that they know they need to take care of for their future majors, or simply explore majors that they feel conflicted about to get a better sense or a taste of what that major would look like. You'll have access to all the resources on campus, as noted earlier, as though you are an actual UC Berkeley student, and your community is not other students who are in the program like yourself only, but really, literally everyone who is on campus. If you are a commuter student, the difference is you're still taking classes on campus and you are still engaging with other UC Berkeley students, but at the end of the day, you're going to be going home. So you're not necessarily going to be able to get that residential component, but you will still be able to take advantage of everything that we have in store for you as a community and as an institution, and you'll get a really good taste of what it means to be a Berkeley student. And then in terms of the virtual, classes are going to be offered either synchronously or asynchronously, meaning in real time, or at your own pace, meaning the classes are going to be set for you in a way where you can complete them as your schedule works or fits. And from there, you're still able to walk away with UC Berkeley transcripts and credits as though you would have taken those classes in person. We provide virtual resources, and we're very intentional about making sure that there is a virtual community you'll be able to be part of. Next is our non-credit experience, which is focused on a short-lived but very immersive taste of the campus, of the classes, of the faculty, because even though you're not necessarily walking away with UC Berkeley transcripts, you're still going to be actually sitting with UC Berkeley faculty, learning about all sorts of different topics, as long as they do fall under the themes that I mentioned earlier. Just so folks know what some of the dates could look like for you, the residential probably is the most limited because you're going to be living on campus. So you can see it runs from June to August or July to August. You get to choose which track or session you want to be part of. Commuter, on the other hand, or the virtual, give you a lot of different options that would work for all of your schedules. The non-credit, on the other hand, is pretty much set, and it's a 2-week experience. Just to give you a sense of you being able to literally experience what it means to be a UC Berkeley student, you would be going to our course catalog to look at the classes that you would be interested in. And from there, we will work with you to make sure that you're able to get into those classes. Those classes cover all sorts of different areas and fields, all the way from arts and humanities to social sciences, to intensive languages, to STEM, to ESL, you name it, it's basically there. And as I may have mentioned, you'll have more than 300 classes to choose from. In terms of admissions, just so folks know, you will need to be 16 years of age. You will need to be a high school student to apply, and you would have needed to complete 2 years of high school before starting the program with a GPA of a minimum of 3.0. And from there, you will be able to take more than 300 classes in what we call lower division classes, classes that are designed for our freshman students and sophomores. And they are going to be in all sorts of different fields. You can see here, these are the top or common classes that we see folks taking. And you can see our numbers growing all the way from 470 to last year being close to 1,000 students. That's everything that I have for you folks. If you have questions, I will be sure to, if anyone is interested, to share the slides or the slide deck for this presentation. But this is our website, our email account, and our Instagram account. And then we have additional resources that allow you to interactively and dynamically explore the campus, explore the program, and connect with ambassadors and other folks who will be able to help you learn more about the program. And at this time, I'm going to pass it back to Leslie.
Thank you so much, Eden. That was great. So let's get to some questions. I know you guys have dropped some questions in the Q&A, so please continue to do so, and we'll be able to get these questions answered for you. So let's start with question 1. It says, will this program only be online or will we ever be in person? And what are the benefits of the program? And I believe this question was for Columbia.
Sure. So Columbia runs our pre-college programs year-round. And so in the fall and the spring, the classes are online, but in the summer, you can do them online, or you can do a commuter program in person, or you can do a residential program in person. Our residential program is for students who are 16 and older, but our online programs and our commuter programs are open for grades 9 through 12.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is, are the summer programs online? And I believe this was for Eden for you.
So I'll basically steal Anita's answer and say it's exactly the same for us. So with the exception of the fact that we don't really run anything during the academic year. So for the summer, our programs are going to be virtual, commuter, and residential for folks. And I hope that clarifies. Thank
you. Next question is for Columbia University. It says, for the pre-college programs, are scholarships offered to help pay for the program? Also, can seniors take the course even after graduation, but before entering college?
So I will answer those in reverse order. So yes, seniors who have recently graduated, so say you graduated in May or June, you would still be able to participate in the program for the summer. In terms of financial aid, the financial aid packages that we offer right now are not for the academic year. They're only for the summer programs. And unfortunately, they are restricted to New York City residents. So at this time, only New York City residents are available, are eligible for financial aid. But if you want more information about our financial aid package, just definitely email me and I can give you all the information.
Perfect, thank you. This one's for NewU. Is there a nursing program available?
Thanks for the question. No nursing at this time. I wouldn't anticipate it being a program to be offered really anytime soon, really based on clinical needs, really. But the programs are on our website, and I'm happy to rehearse those if you need.
Thank you. All right, next question says it's about benefits of the program, and it's what are the benefits of the program directly for Columbia University?
Sure. So this actually requires a little bit of a long answer, but for those of you who are interested in applying to selective universities like Columbia, one of the things that all of these types of schools are looking for is passionate students. And it's not enough to just say that you're passionate about an area. Your application needs to reflect that, which means that you're doing more than just taking classes in a classroom. So this is just one of many ways for you to demonstrate you have an interest. So for example, you said you're interested in architecture, but what have you done? What have you done to further that interest? And we have an architecture class, and our class actually teaches you how to work with CAD, which is the software that architects use when they're creating their drawings. So this is a way to demonstrate that you actually mean what you are interested in, and you're willing to take that extra effort. But like Berkeley, it's not a silver bullet to get into Columbia, because this is a very rigorous and difficult program to get into, and we do want to make sure that everyone has a fair opportunity. But this is the type of program that universities like Columbia are looking for.
Perfect, thank you. We've got a question for NewU. When does the application for the fall 2023 end?
For fall 2023, we we're enrolling admissions sort of in the parlance of the admissions world. And so we can accept applications up into a couple of weeks before the start of classes, really. So always welcome to email apply@newu.university with any questions about that.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Next one, it says for Columbia, what if you're not able to pay for this, but it's something you're interested? Is there any grants or any scholarships that can help support?
So again, the only scholarships that are available through Columbia are for New York City residents, but I know that there are a lot of scholarship programs out there. I know that scholarship money goes untapped every year. So we always recommend that students talk to their guidance counselors about other sources of funding. And we have had students come to us with other sources of funding. So it's out there.
Thank you. This is for UC Berkeley. Do the credits we do apply to all colleges or just UC Berkeley?
They will travel with you anywhere you decide to go. So a good chunk of our students are actually international students who decide not necessarily to study in the US in the future, but even take those units back with them to the respective countries and institutions. And no one will ever have an issue with that. It's as though you're an international student coming as an exchange student, studying at UC Berkeley and taking those units with you. So these are college level credits that you'll be able to transfer without really having any concerns or issues. Great question.
Thank you. So the next one is for Berkeley. Again, it says, what is the tuition for UC Berkeley pre-college programs?
So the information definitely is on our page. The reason why I don't include it on the slide is because it would vary depending on the track you're interested in. If you are not doing a residential track, then you're simply paying per unit, and it is the same cost of attendance that an in-state student would pay. I think maybe it's helpful for me just to mention very quickly here that we do offer scholarships regardless of whether you're coming from California or you're from outside of California. And if you want to dig more or learn more about that, just feel free to shoot us an email. We'll be able to give you more resources. And I think Anita is making a really good point around external funding opportunities. There are so many options out there. And we have been able to tap into some based on what we see the students are utilizing. So if you want just a list of resources that we have seen our students utilize in the past, more than happy to share. Just shoot me an email, I'll be able to get back to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Eden. This question applies to everybody. So it says it applies to all schools in their transcripts. Will we be submitting AP exam scores even if they do not contribute to the grade point average like other scores? And Eden, we can start with you.
Yeah, so at Berkeley, we definitely want to know what you have taken. This is very important for us because for the most part, Berkeley has a profile for every high school out there, including international high schools. And it's helpful for them to understand how you're situated within the context of your high school, how many courses, AP or honors have been offered, and how many have you taken, what that looked like. And one thing to note very quickly, because I know sometimes we get stuck on the grades and how that's gonna make you look. A lot of our institutions are very interested in a holistic review process. And that's basically us looking at your grades, but at the same time, looking at who you are behind the grades. And that is something that I will say at UC Berkeley is probably more important than the grades because we tend to attract a lot of great students. But how does that make you different from other folks who are applying? Great question.
Anita, you can answer next.
Oh, I'm sorry. The question, can you repeat the question for me?
Sure. I think it was, I actually just dismissed the question, but I think it was, should students be able to show their AP scores?
That's right. So we do not consider AP scores, but we do look at your classes. So when we say, we want a copy of your transcript, we aren't just looking at your GPA. We look specifically at every class you've taken, the courses that you've taken, the grades that you've gotten in the courses. But like Eden says, it is also holistic. So, we understand that sometimes you have a rough semester, especially with COVID. We saw a lot of difficulty with students and mental health issues. So we take all of that into consideration and we look at what are the trends of your grades. What do we actually read those letters of recommendation. What do your teachers have to say about you? So even with our pre-college programs, it's still a holistic review. So we don't look at AP scores or any other test scores, but we do heavily rely on those grades.
Thank you, ma'am. What about you, Josh?
For NewU, we certainly can look at AP test scores and your full academic record. Like other institutions, we really consider the full holistic review of students, but we're really looking at in terms of admissions, we're an access-oriented institution about what the track record kind of looks like over time and what that student's background has. But we're an access-oriented institution, so we don't let necessarily one semester or one particular course, derail a student's opportunity to attend.
Awesome, thank you. So next question's for Berkeley. It says, since most of the summer programs were in June and July, are these for next summer?
So we start actually as late as the end of May, and they run through mid-August. It depends on the session you're looking at. So there are the tracks, and then within each track, there are sessions. So that would be applicable to the summer. The dates that were on the slides that I shared with you folks were reflective of this very summer, but they are not necessarily going to vary much for the upcoming summer cycle and the one after that. So you could definitely use those dates as a good reference moving forward.
Thank you, Eden. This one's for everybody, and we can start with you, Eden. Are you guys doing test optional for applying to your program?
So for the pre-college scholars program, we don't want for you to worry at all about that. As far as tests go, we don't look at any standardized testing. We just need to look at your academic record and GPA. For UC Berkeley, however, and the entire UC system, we are no longer as a system considering standardized tests. So I know some institutions may say it's optional, and then if you do, submit those, you do get a little bit of an advantage. At UC Berkeley and other UCs, don't even worry about it because we're not going to look at that. I don't know if at this point there is even an option for you to be able to provide that. So with the UC system, you're good to go.
Anita?
Yeah, our program does not consider test scores at all. So even if you sent them, we wouldn't consider them. But that is for the pre-college programs, not for the Columbia undergraduate program.
NewU is test blind. You're welcome to submit scores, but they're really not used.
Perfect, thank you. Actually, back to you, Josh. What's the acceptance rate for NewU?
It's a good question, but I don't actually do the admissions part for this, but we have a small class that's coming in the fall. It's a small number of folks. I don't know that we've actually rejected any applicants, but the other thing about the application pool is we talk to almost every student that applies. And so we really want to ensure that students that apply and that they're coming to NewU understand what they're expecting. They're all trailblazers. We're a new institution and we're doing new things in different ways. And so I would say it's rather high. We're not selective in the sense that we're trying to winnow out applicants. We're trying to make opportunities for as many people as we can.
Perfect, thank you. This one goes out to UC Berkeley, and pretty much to everybody can answer because it says, what type of student do you think is most likely to succeed in your courses? Do you think that it requires a certain set of classes for a student to be ready, or is it a program in which students will be guided through no matter their previous course studies?
That's a beautiful question. And I say that because the vision of our program is to help you understand what it means to be a college student in a public university, in a large university, a research-oriented university, as noted earlier. And as you can imagine, in these spaces, students are empowered to exercise a lot of agency, to find themselves, their passions, who they are in the midst of everything that is taking place on campus. And so we really try to actually give you a taste of that experience so that you can decide for yourself if the UC system, UC Berkeley, is the kind of space that you really want to call home, if it really resonates with you, because there are obviously many amazing institutions out there in the world that approach this process differently. So in the pre-college scholars program, we give you the resources and empower you to use them. I am there to guide you if there is any needed guidance. But at the end of the day, it is really going to fall on you to make the most out of this program. And of course, if you're running into any issues or challenges, you'll always come back to us for support. But it's really meant to be an actual taste of college. I think that covers I know it's a multifaceted question, but I hope I covered it.
Yeah, you did great. That was wonderful. No, Anita, do you want to answer it? And it was more likely to see if there's certain classes how do you think a student's going to be successful with your program? And if it's going to be kind of guided or a little bit more the student's lead?
Oh, I love this question so much. I'm like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, I want to answer that question. So one of the things that I love about our program is we do have so many courses, especially if you look at the summer schedules. That's where we really, we have twice as many as we do, maybe even 3 times as many as we do during the school year. And the beauty of that is, like I said, we have a course for everyone. And one of the great ways to guide yourself is to look at the prerequisites. So there are some classes that have no prerequisites at all, and these are basic level classes. But then we have some that do have prerequisites, and these are more advanced classes. So we want to make sure that there is something for everyone, so you can use those prerequisites to guide you. We have introductory writing classes, but then we have advanced classes for kids who have already finished their first novel. We have one summer, we had an intro to physics class for kids who had never taken physics, but we also had an astrophysics class for kids who had taken calculus, and we're doing astrophysics with calculus. And for those of you who have taken AP physics in school, you know that AP physics in the high school is not taught with calculus, it's algebra based, whereas our physics class is calculus based. So our classes literally run the gambit, and you can tell, like I said, by the prerequisites. So we have 2 types of students that come to us. Some students don't know what they want to do, and this is a chance for them to try out different areas where the stakes are low because there's not a grade. Like I said, they're interested in a particular major, but they don't know for sure. They think they want to be a lawyer, but you don't get to take law classes when you're in high school, whereas we have a class that covers Supreme Court cases. Or they know exactly what they want to do, and they've already taken various programming classes, and now they want to take our blockchain class or our Python class. So our students are polar opposites. They either know exactly what they want to do and they've already been diving into it and they want a deeper dive, or they're not sure and they want to test the waters. But we have something for everyone.
Josh, do you want to go ahead and answer that as well?
Sure. I would say we're really looking for folks that are trailblazers, that are looking to do something different, folks that are interested in being a part of a small startup sort of environment where they are really challenged to make it their own. So we don't have a lot of preconceived notions at NewU. What we have is a structure in place to help students really achieve their own path. And so we're not putting roadblocks and limitations in front of students. We're saying, how might we do this, and how can we support their aspirations and create it on demand, right? And that's what's exciting about it.
I know it's 8:02, but let's do a couple more questions and then everybody can kind of hop off. We've got a lot of questions, so I want to make sure we can try to cover at least a couple more of them. So one of the questions is, do you recommend the program to somebody that has already taken a pre-college program somewhere else? So Eden and Anita, if you guys want to take over the question to see if anybody's done anything extra, would you guys consider them doing another program?
I'm happy to go, Anita. I'll try to be brief. Yes, if you have tried, like if you've done, for example, Berkeley, then it's a great idea to go and do Columbia, because these are completely two different types of institutions. That way, it will help empower you in the long run, the informed decision you want to make about where you want to be in the future. And at the end of the day, if the program is going to give you credit, you're collecting credit, and that's going to be applicable moving forward, regardless of where the credit's coming from. So yes, depending on what you have completed.
Yeah, I agree completely with that answer, because every program is going to be slightly different. The instructor is going to be different. The course material is going to be different. The students who are attracted to the program are going to be different. You're going to get something different out of every experience. And in fact, at Columbia, we have kids who come back to our program term after term after term. We have a lot of repeat offenders. And if you're looking for a 4-credit program, the immersion program is not for credit, because like I said, we want it to be low stakes for our students. We want them to be able to take those chances, try something that is out of their comfort zone that they don't have a lot of experience in, and not feel like they have so much on the line. But for those of you who, really want to jump into the deep end, we also have a 4-credit program called College Edge, which does not have housing, and it's not virtual. So, we don't have those advantages that Eden's program does. But if you want to come out to New York and experience Columbia campus, that's another way to do it. And I'm happy to talk to anyone about that. You can just email me if you want more information.
Thank you, Anita. This is for NewU. Somebody asked, what is campus life like in DC?
Sure. So we have a facility right across from the Treasury, and it's in a modern office building, actually. And we are working with local groups in terms of housing. There was a question about housing and getting housing close to campus. So we can certainly help with that. Campus life is really going to be focused on coursework from that Monday through Thursday, 10 to 2 o'clock sort of block. And then the rest of the time in my role in student journey is really helping to facilitate those connections among students and developing the campus culture there. So I expect clubs and organizations. I expect a lot of service and volunteerism with the community we're going to have on campus. And my role is not necessarily to dictate what groups are going to be, but to say, how can we make this happen? And so if students have interest in service or in the environment or in public service, how can we connect those students to those groups in DC, which is a vibrant, civically engaged community, and make those connections happen. So we don't really have, as I say, limitations on this. We just have opportunities that we're going to engage with.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. This is for Anita and for Eden. It says, would you recommend the program for somebody who's already enrolled in college? Can you actually do it if you're out of high school?
So sadly, no. Honestly, myself and all of the admissions officers, when we read the course descriptions, we wish we could take some of those classes, but it's only for high school students or the ones who have recently graduated. So you can still do it in the summer if you're a May or June graduate.
Same exact answer. And at summer at Berkeley, you can come and take classes if you are already enrolled in college, but it will be really you coming as just an exchange student taking classes. That would be the case probably for Columbia or really any other institution out there. So that might be what you want to consider.
Thank you, guys. Back to you, Josh. This one is asking, is NewU fully accredited university? If one does really well, can they actually have a transfer to Harvard or Yale or anything like that? Second university.
Yeah, so let me be really explicit about this answer, because I know it matters to lots of our folks in attendance. So NewU is fully licensed to operate in Washington, D.C. by the Higher Education Licensing Commission. That's a very rigorous process where NewU's faculty and curriculum and educational program was all vetted and approved by the HELC. We certainly are seeking accreditation partners from four-year institutions that are regionally accredited. We are not yet regionally accredited, and we're working on that right now, actually. Once we're regionally accredited, that will open up other opportunities for us, but we are not yet regionally accredited. In terms of transfer credit is something that the receiving institution has to determine. And so if a student comes to NewU and completes the program, completes coursework, they'd want to talk with their receiving institution about how those credit hours may transfer. And that's a decision that the receiving institution has to make.
Perfect. Thank you, Josh. And going back to both of Anita and Eden, this question says, seeing as admission is not guaranteed for the programs, what extracurricular activities would you guys recommend to draw attention to be able to get accepted into the programs and future colleges applications?
Okay, I'll go first this time. This program is not the same as applying to college. So we don't actually look at extracurricular activities. It might be something that someone writes about in their essay, because our application is similar to a college application essay, in which, we do want letters of recommendation, we do want transcripts, and you are required to write an essay, but we don't specifically require extracurricular activities. And in terms of coming to the program, again, it's different from college in the sense that we're not comparing application to application and deciding, oh, are we going to take application A or application B? Instead, it's a rolling admission. So if you apply and you're qualified, you will get in. But the reason you want to apply early is because the earlier you apply, the sooner you can register. And we have very limited class sizes. We keep our class sizes small because it's important to us that students be able to interact with one another and with the instructor, for whether it's online or in person. Some of our class sizes are as small as 15. And so that's why we recommend that people apply as soon as possible, because our most popular classes fill consistently. And we do have to disappoint people and turn them away from their classes. Even though they can get into the program, they might not necessarily get the class that they want.
And I'll say I myself and Berkeley are exactly on the same wavelength as Anita and Columbia. I'll just repeat everything if I'm to share anything more here, but I will say, being a public university, our classes are going to be much bigger, especially if you're taking classes for credit. But it's up to you if you want to go to a big class, if you want to go to a small class with Berkeley. But at the end of the day, we're not going to be looking at the co-curricular, extracurricular aspect of your application unless you decide to reflect on that in your essay responses. Maybe I should very briefly mention, if you're applying to Berkeley, I'm sure this is going to be the case for many other institutions, including Columbia. I think Anita brought up a really good point earlier, which is a lot of folks would really want to highlight as many extracurricular and co-curricular programming that they did. But it really has to be aligned with who you are. If you're passionate about something, that should be reflective of that. But if you're just doing things left and right just to come across in a way that's impressive, I'm sure that's great, but at the end of the day, a lot of these institutions are looking for intentionality. They're looking for folks who show up as leaders, and that would basically mean you knowing who you are, knowing how you want to show up in the world, and what is it that you actually want to impact or change. So I'd invite you to think through that moving forward when you consider applying for institutions, and try just to be intentional about what kind of story you want to tell about yourself in terms of what is it that you do in the world.
Thank you, Eden. So this is the last part. I'm going to ask you guys just for if you guys want to go individually. Eden, you can go first, Anita next, and Josh last. Is one last thing about why people should partake in your programs, one last thoughts or anything you want to leave the students with that joined us tonight. Eden, you can go first.
Thank you so much. Y'all have been asking amazing questions. I feel so good being in this panel, part of this conversation. If I am to leave you with some words of wisdom, I will say very quickly, you showing up here is amazing in itself. That says a lot about who you are. In terms of why a program in a place like UC Berkeley would be something you should or could consider, it's just a matter of, are you interested in the type of institution that UC Berkeley happens to represent? If not, this probably program and this institution may not be the best fit for you. So if you are sitting in a place where you're considering or wondering what California could look like, what an institution like the UC system may be, then this is definitely a good space for you to explore and think through. Otherwise, there are so many amazing options out there in the world, and you may want to consider pursuing those. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you.
I would agree completely with Eden. I love doing presentations, but I love questions and answers the best. Like, this is my favorite part of any sort of presentation. I'm always a little sad when we don't get any questions at the end. So these have all been really great questions. I think the thing that I really love about our program is that it does make a difference. I couldn't work for a program if I didn't believe in the product that they were presenting to the public. And I have read literally thousands of survey results from students after they take the program. I've met with students individually. I've even done focus groups with parents. So I've talked to a lot of people about the program to get their feedback, and it has been overwhelmingly positive. You know, parents and students really feel like this program has changed their students in ways that they didn't even imagine. You know, so I say, you know, come for the curricular options, but stay for the life change, because that is really what it's all about, is the experience. And so many people people are focused on, how is this going to affect my college application? Am I going to get into Columbia? But that's really not the right approach to this. This really needs to be about, you're wanting to discover who you are and where your passions are. And that's where we can help you, because we're really all about giving you the best experience possible. And I will just close with this one little anecdote. Like I said, our business classes are extremely popular. They fill up every single year. And so a couple of summers ago, I was on the phones and I had a dad call, and he was really anxious to get his sons into one of our business classes. And so I was chatting with him. I was like, what is it about this particular class that drew you? And so he said, well, I saw who the instructor was, and he's one of the top finance guys in the country. And so I really want my sons to study with him. He's done TED Talks. And so, a lot of times people want to come to our program because they know sometimes we have Columbia faculty, but even the people who aren't Columbia faculty are amazing. And so when I got off the phone with him, I Googled the dad to find out who it was I was talking to. Turns out he runs one of the biggest hedge funds in the country, and he was impressed by our faculty. So I feel like that just says a lot about how much we care about our program and bringing amazing faculty to inspire and, create the leaders of tomorrow.
So I appreciate the opportunity to be with you and colleagues from Columbia and UC Berkeley. What a distinguished group to be a part of. I think what I would say about NewU is it is intentionally different. It's intentionally innovative. It's intentionally student focused to its very core. And not that other institutions aren't. They're certainly focused on student success and the student experience and the learning that happens in and outside of the classroom. At NewU, that's the only thing we're focused on. We're an undergraduate institution. We're teaching focused. It's 3 years. It's a set tuition. It's transparent, and you know exactly what you can expect when you come to NewU. We're working very hard on getting started. We're having our first class this fall, so we hope you'll consider NewU either this fall or maybe next fall in the future. And always reach out for questions anytime.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much, Eden, Anita, and Josh. Thank you again for joining us tonight. We really appreciate hearing about your programs and everything that you guys got to offer. Thank you, Sydney, for helping moderating in the background. We're so happy that you guys are all able to join us, and thank you everybody for being here with us tonight. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead and email us. I think everybody put their email and contact information on there, so hopefully if you have any questions directly, email them to them. And we can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good one.